All right, welcome, lovely community. So happy to have you here tonight as we celebrate a waxing gibbous phase Scorpio moon. And I'm so excited to welcome one of my favorite people in the whole world. And so happy to have her as one of my lucky to be esteemed colleagues, Joanne Bracken of Magdalene Soul Healing. Thank you, Joanne, for being here.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
So thank you for coming on, and we're going to do this live group healing together. And so I'm definitely one of Joanne's clients. I've experienced her sound healing from a personal session as well as a group session as well as her classes. So I'm a big, big fan of Joanne's work. I want to give a special yes, I want to give a special shout out to Tina Marinucci Merriman, who introduced me to you. Yes. And since then, we've become fast friends and remembering, oh, we've known each other here, there, and everywhere, and our Irish roots and all kinds of good stuff.
Oh, yeah. There are no accidents when people like us get together. It's like old home week.
Yes, exactly. So Joanne and I were talking, and we said, oh, we would love to do a group healing for the ladies. And of course, I had to look at when would be the most auspicious time for us, because Joanne's work is very powerful. It's very deep, and it crosses timelines and dimensions. So she'll explain to us a little bit more about the nature of the work that she does and what sound, working with the angels of color, light, and sound, how does that help us physically, emotionally, spiritually, and within our ancestral family tree. So I just wanted to give a little background what's going on for today and how you can utilize Joanne's beautiful sacred offering for yourself today and to do some healing, because Scorpios are deep, deep emotions all the way down to your second chakra. It's the womb space, the space where you were brought into this world, right? Where your little egg and sperm came together and started multiplying cellularly. So we're really getting to that cellular matrix, which Joanne is a master healer at that level of where we want to really find our roots of imbalances or things that are just out of harmony. We go to that root place, that cellular matrix. So we picked a Scorpio moon, and we picked a Scorpio waxing moon because the power is getting bigger and bigger. So as we sit together tonight for this healing, the energy is actually growing. So just feel the expansion, feel the growth, feel like the depths that Joanne's going to take us tonight, and set your intentions for what type of healing. And Joanne's she's so good at helping you set intentions. That's part of her healing work. So she's going to help us set that intention with this particular energy that we get to be blessed by. So it's a waxing moon, it's a Scorpio moon, and the name of this moon is called the Cloaked One. So this is about really tuning in to your intuition. Like, what do you see, feel, and know when your eyes are closed and you're going inward into your depths? So this is a good opportunity to do some wellness work or awakening to what's there so that you can have an experience and release it powerfully with Monday's full moon. So that's why we timed it. We timed it with Scorpio because it gets really into our cells and the deep darkness down there in the womb. And then we wanted it for you to have something to powerfully release on the full moon. So without further ado, Joanne, tell us more about what we're going to do tonight. And then how does your work work?
Good question. I thought I'm going to bounce off Shannon tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I didn't really come up with a good plan. I asked my spirit. I always tune in before I come online and just start talking because I don't want to waste time and I want to get right to it. So I always do my invocation before I even jump on so that my energies get set. And when you were talking about the waxing gibbous moon, that so fits into what I was feeling before I got on tonight, because I always ask all of my guides, and I'll do an invocation for us. But man, I said, please let me know that you're with me, as if I had any doubt, right? Like they're going to be too busy to tune in with us.
Right. They're always like, Joanne, you're so cute.
We'll humor her for now.
Right. Exactly.
But when I said that, I just started getting so warm, and that's how they let me know that they're here, because I work with a group. I don't work with just one being. My thing, I was sort of blessed with this. I didn't ask for it, but I seem to be a reservoir for all sorts of spiritual energies. So I work with the Christed ones, who I call in as Yeshua or Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary. And of course, the archangels, particularly Metatron, Michael, Raphael, Ariel, the whole group of them. And then I have who I call the angels of light, sound, and color. Because I bring all of those aspects into my work to help us shift our vibrations by assisting everybody to identify as well as they can, but then to transmute these energies, to get these energies out of our cellular memory of all the stuff that's holding us back. And Scorpio is a really good time to do that, as you said, because that rules like the deep, dark stuff that we're afraid to look at, all the secrets that we have in us. And we're full of secrets, aren't we, Shannon? We're full of them.
Yes. And a lot of times, that saying, oh, the bones rattling in the closet. That's like the Scorpio, like, oh, let's just shove it under the rug, or don't look, it's over there.
Yeah. And, we sometimes have trouble remembering what happened to us in this life. Well, if we have an understanding of past lives, souls don't die. Souls just get recycled, right? So we keep getting recycled time and time again. We collect all these new experiences. And when you're in form, the experiences are going to be good ones and not so good ones. Mm-hmm. And all of this memory is recorded in our cells. As we're in human form, we have cells, we have DNA, and the DNA is known as our living library. So we are this huge library of all these memories of everything that's ever happened to us, whether it's in this life or other lifetimes, both on the Earth and on other planetary systems. Now, I might be blowing some minds here. I don't know, but they are lunar ladies, so I'm assuming they're a little further along.
Yeah, lunar ladies can be out there.
We're not talking to the Bridge Club here. We're talking to
the Bridge Club.
Can you imagine if I walked into a bridge club and started talking like this?
That'd be so fun.
Would be scary.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like a Saturday Night Live skit or something.
It really, really would. So funny. And we'd see the little church ladies, the church ladies. Isn't that special?
Love Dana Carvey. Yeah.
So anyway, everybody excuse us, but we like to laugh. And that's part of the healing work, really. That's part of, as we laugh, stuff is bubbling up and it's churning and it's cranking here. So I think that's one of the reasons, because I'm not planning any of this. I said, Spirit, work through me, do what you need to do. So what I'm hearing right now is we're working on you with laughter, because that's when people let go and they open up and they allow stuff to move through them without the mind getting in the way. So we're moving the mind to the side and we're letting all these great energies start coming in and moving stuff around, preparing for it to just move out of us when I do the sound healing portion.
Oh my God, that is so cool, because for those of the ladies watching may not know, but Joanne and I both have Gemini moons, and we can get together and make each other laugh and go ha 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 like all day long. Like,
yes.
So it's just so exciting about the humor medicine.
Yes, and this is the first time I've ever explained it like this. So this is kind of a new thing that my guides are sending through me right now. I'd never really thought of it that way, but it makes so much sense that, you know, our minds get in there and we start thinking about stuff and, you know, trying to put this mental spin on what's going on in us, but it's not about the mental. It's about what we have stored in our cellular structure. So we've been carrying around, imagine that you've been carrying around 100 suitcases for many lifetimes. And these suitcases are just loaded with heavy, you know, intense stuff. This is our Scorpio stuff, if you want to put it in that way. It's all our Scorpio bags. And
yeah, it's really heavy.
It's
heavy.
like
refugee bags.
Right. And so my love and my training is all centered on working with archetypal patterns that show up through our behavior, our mindset, just ways of acting and being in the world, the ways that we relate to people, events, you know, whatever it is, just how we are in the world is a product of all of this stuff that's happened to us through time and the meaning that we've attached to it, right? That's really important.
The story and the meaning, right? Because that's the belief system that keeps it all kind of keep repeating itself over and over and over. And you keep thinking, can I change this pattern? And it's like, well, you're doing the same thing over and over based on what it is you believe that is true.
Yes.
You know?
And the other part of that where we get stuck, and I talk about this in our archetypal healing class, which I know you'll remember, is that there are class number 1, there are 3 ways that stuff gets stored in our DNA primarily. And that is through conditioning, you know, things that we learn from our parents, from the church, from our teachers, from our society, just conditioning. Vows that we may have taken. For example, if you had a lifetime as a nun, you know, you had to take vows of poverty, chastity, obedience, and silence. And just because you leave that life expression and go on to the next one, unless you rescinded those vows, you're taking them with you. And most people don't think about that. They don't think that because I made a vow way back then, you know, it probably wore off by now. It's probably not working anymore. It's like, that's not happening.
No, it's in the record, you know, it got
That's right. That's right. I didn't have to do anything. It just went away.
Right. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, but that stuff got recorded in there. So, and the third way that stuff gets stuck in our DNA and our cellular programming is through trauma. And that makes a lot of sense because every one of us as a soul has had a lot of trauma in our soul's history, whether you were on a battlefield or you died in childbirth or, you know, you were the victim of an axe murder. I mean, you know, there are many, many ways that we've been traumatized. And so the action, whatever happened to us, coupled with our fear about it, just drove that memory deep into our cellular structure. And so we come into the present lifetime and we have these unexplainable fears.
Yes.
We don't know why. We're always afraid of stuff. You know, what is that? Why am I being so triggered? Like, I don't have a reason to be afraid of that particular thing. What is that all about? Well, usually it's a fear that's in the body and it didn't get there by accident. Something had to have happened, cause and effect. You know?
Right. So if you have a fear, like a fear of heights or something, maybe you fell off a mountain or got
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've had more people come to me that were, for example, afraid of swimming.
Right.
And take them back, and sure enough, you know, it just makes sense. This is logical. This person drowned. You know, they drowned and they never got to resolve that. So when I work with people, I take them back through that in a very gentle way and rescue them. We go in and I have them help, and we bring in the angels or whoever, and we actually rescue them. And that's really, it's not a fantasy. You know, your mind recognizes something that you think you're making up as the truth. So when we go into that life expression and we actually do the rescue, we're pulling that person back into present time. We're helping them release all that old trauma. And guess what? They can go swimming after that.
Yeah, and they can enjoy and not be afraid of the water, or maybe go to like an island vacation, whereas they would never have thought to do that before.
Exactly. So I used to do this work by doing past life regressions, which I can still do, but the work has evolved over time to go beyond spending a lot of time trying to get the person to go through it, asking lots of questions, you know, helping them to process it. And that can be very valuable. I am not putting that down at all because I'll still do some of that. But the other work I do is where I go into trance, I'm channeling the angels, and rather than unwrapping the onion, you know, peeling all those layers off, they take us right into the cellular pattern and the initiatory event that got that stuck there and rewrite the script. So that's what's so exciting about this work. It's a gift of grace that the angels brought through, so you don't have to work so hard. We've already been doing tons of work on ourselves.
Right, and it's in that beautiful primordial sound of frequency. You know, it's in sound, it's not words, and your mind goes into trying to figure out what do these words mean, and then all the story and everything gets, you know, misunderstood or confused. I love that it's sound.
Yes, because sound is like the greatest healer. And when you combine sound with intention, and anybody who's been in my sound circles will remember this, that's a magical formula. The intention, strong, clearly set intention, plus using the tonal frequencies or the sound, whether it's through my voice, your voice, drums, whatever. It's that intention that you add to that, and the sound drives that intention to creator. It's
correct.
And you know, the ancients knew all this stuff. This is not new. Right. It's just been very recent that we as humans have started to remember this, but they were teaching this stuff back in the ancient mystery schools in Egypt and Babylon and Atlantis. You know,
yes, my very good friend just was in Malta, which has the Hypergeum underground, this beautiful sound chamber that's like thousands of years old. And she's like, I went in there and had a memory of actually having been like trained in that level of wellness and cooking and singing. Amazing. And yes, I was like, Joanne needs to go to that place.
Oh, I have to go there. I have to. Can you imagine? Field trip.
Yeah, totally. You could take us on a retreat there.
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. You know, and when you look at pictures of the Egyptian hieroglyphs, you'll see a lot of hieroglyphs of people with musical instruments, you know, in the temples. They had a huge program of working with
universities of sound.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they knew that this was all part of their healing practice. And, you know, there were not old, I mean, it's probably still going on, but tribal cultures who, rather than trying to fix people with medicines or psychotherapy or whatever, when somebody in the tribe was having like a meltdown, what did they do? They would all get together and circle around this person and sing and chant and dance and drum. They would use vibration to move that energy.
Yes. It's so, it's ancient and it's eternal. Like it's, what's that word where it's just, it's always new and alive.
Yes, yes, exactly. So what I do on a much smaller scale than that, but no less potent, I think, is to work with the angels and the galactic beings to bring through specific sounds for people, individuals and groups, to go into the misqualified energy, you could call it.
Qualified, that's nice.
Misqualified energy, stuff that we put a bad spin on, you know.
Right, yeah, we gave it a bad story.
A bad story. We go in there, and through our intention and the sounds that I bring through, which I was told come from or through the 9th dimension, if you can believe that. I had to look it up.
Wow.
Because we're working with creator energies here. That's why it's so powerful. And, you know, it feels really good, too.
It does feel really good.
It feels really good.
Joanne, I wanted to put out there for our gathering today is that, so we're in this moon in Scorpio, and Scorpio has 2 rulers, the ancient ruler and the modern ruler. Ancient ruler being Mars, and the modern ruler being Pluto, because Pluto wasn't discovered until modern times. But today, Pluto and Mars are exactly opposite each other. So we have an octave between the ancient and modern ruler of this Scorpio energy that you're going to take us down into. So this is a really shamanic moment of clearing and healing. So I just wanted to also put that out there for our circle of lovely ladies, that this is really a big treat. I didn't realize that part of it. I was like, oh,
it's our timing, Shannon.
Timing is everything.
Good timing. So, is there anything else that I can specifically address, Shannon? Are there any questions that are coming through in chat?
Let's see. Lots of wonderful comments on how much they love you.
Oh.
Oh, should we be wearing headphones while we listen?
You don't have to, but you certainly can. It might make it much more interesting. In fact, I'm remembering now that somebody did say that it was more intense for them with headphones. It's not a requirement, but if you have them, go ahead and use them.
Love that. Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, people are like, yeah, nice to mention. That's awesome. Let's see. Susan says, I wore mine last night and it was powerful. We've got past lives, karma, disease, and or illness from Lila. I think that's from Lila. Or from Lila.
I'm sorry, was that a question?
I think that was a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's from Lila. Yeah, so
that does bring up a good point, is that often people have some sort of physical ailment and there's no explanation for it. You know, you might ask the doctor, how come I have this? Well, we don't know. Oh, that's no help at all. You want an answer.
Yeah.
They can't give you one, but there may well be an answer in your past where something got, you know, whacked out of balance, and you're carrying that memory so deeply that your body has been affected by it. And I'll give you an example. There was a man who came for a session, and he literally was kind of sitting with I can't even do it, with his head like cocked to the side. Well, guess what? He had been
hanged. Yeah.
He had been hanged. And after his session, he was able to straighten his head up.
Wow. And had he not even realized that he was even like postured like that?
Well, he knew it was, and that he was doing that. And that's why he came for his session, you know, because his soul was drawing him to resolve this whole thing. But he was carrying that trauma of having been hanged by a rope, of course. And you know, if you've ever seen it in the movies, their head always goes to one side. Or,
yeah, when they're hanging. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to clear that one out. Anybody that has a hanging issue, we're going to just, you know, get rid of that one.
Exactly.
So it'll show up in your body.
Yeah, right. It'll show up in your body. Like, I remember, you know, I was born with a birthmark on my left side, like right by my, like kind of almost in the groin, but a little bit above. And I remember the doctor was like, oh, we got to watch that. Oh, what is that? What is it? Because one of those big red splotchy ones. And I always knew, even as a kid, it was from another life. That's how I died. So I came in just knowing, oh, don't worry about it, doctor. That's just how I died in another life. I was never worried about it because I'm like, oh, that's like my
metal thing.
battle scar, you know. I
Exactly.
earned that one, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, it could show up like birthmarks, like.
Well, yeah, I had a big mole on my back
Mhm.
when I was in high school. And of course, this was way before I ever knew any of this kind of stuff. I was
Right.
16 or whatever, you know, and I always imagined, or maybe not quite that young, but later on, you know, I did get it taken off. And I just imagined that an arrow had gone into that spot.
Oh,
I
interesting.
really felt that was from an arrow. I can't
Mm.
prove it, but it made sense to me, you know, and that energy of being shot in the back
Yeah.
was still very strong in me. And what would that possibly lead to would be fear of open spaces, fear of being a target. You know, I had some of that stuff. And
Right. And being a performer earlier in your life, that you also would find yourself in a place of like, I'm here on stage, no control over
yeah,
who's watching or what happens, really, you know?
exactly. And I did have a past life memory of having been on stage and having somebody leap at me, and, you know, it didn't end well, let's put it that way.
Right, right.
And
So,
I had bad stage fright. You know, it took me a while to really work through that. But I was a singer, did a lot of stuff on stage, and I had some pretty intense stage fright.
right. And so if you were in another life attacked on stage, that would make a lot of sense why this life you're like a little wary of, I don't want to be on stage. And we call it stage fright, but it really is a level of being afraid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what all this stuff is sitting in the body. It's all based in fear. Our
Yeah.
body's main concern is with its survival, right? You
Yeah.
know, it's like, how am I going to survive? And we have all those memories of how we died, and, you know, some were easy and a lot were not easy. So yeah, those kinds of situations will just trigger those old memories and bring all that stuff back. But in this current existence, we're like, gosh, you know, what is that about? What is that about? Why am I worried about that? That makes no sense. But
Yeah.
to
A
the
lot of
body, it makes complete sense. It's like,
yeah, the
oh,
body's like,
I died that way. I ain't going there again.
I'm not again, right?
No,
Only once, right?
I'm not going there.
Right? Let's see, Janice commented, can it be your family's issue, like trauma in the family, like your mother or your grandmother's issues?
Yes, thank you for bringing that through, because certainly there's an ancestral piece to this as well. That, you know, it could have been, the one example that I like to use is like the alcoholic parents, where you yourself may not be an alcoholic, but you've got the DNA for it. And you may have some behavioral issues or fears that come out of the ancestral issues, and you've just adopted them. So in doing this kind of clearing, we get to clear all of that stuff. We clear it not only for you, but for your ancestors and for your children if you have them. We're going into that complex, which affects you, and I think they say 7 generations, you know, going back at least, but only on this planet. So, you know, everybody gets a clean sweep of this. And I don't want this to sound so magical that you think, oh, I'm done, you know, I'm going to walk out of here and it's going to be just perfect. Would that it were so. But what we also have to remember is that the mind keeps playing its old tapes. It's been playing the same tapes for eons of time. And so we're working with the body memory and the archetypal patterns, but the mind is kind of slow. And so I always do some coaching with people afterwards to talk about, you know, your mind is the last thing to really catch up to all of this. And you have to keep talking to it, because it's going to keep playing those tapes and try to, you know, trap you back into your fears. and you need to learn how to talk to your mind. So it's just a whole system, you know, spiritual coaching along with the healing that you have to do to get all systems lined up, you know, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. We want to get the whole package lined up. And so we used to think, oh, we'll go and do one session and we're done. Nothing else needed here. Nothing else to see.
If only.
If only. That would be way too easy.
Right. This is Earth School. We're learning stuff here.
We're learning stuff and we have a lot to clear. And think about it. What would we do if we were done? Then it's like, what am I going to do? So this keeps things interesting, keeps us engaged while we're here.
Right. We have one more question from Lila. Do you think DNA and our soul is related karmically? Like our soul's experiences and the DNA in our family tree, are they related karmically?
The way that I would answer that is yes, everything is related, you know. So I'm not sure if this fully addresses it, but here's a piece of it. So your soul has its story. And when you're stuck in patterns, that means you're in a loop and you're going to keep creating similar circumstances because you're in those patterns. Now, what does the soul do? When it's on the other side, as it's preparing to come into the current life, it's going to hunt for the right parents to come into so that it can set up a similar circumstance or give it an opportunity to work with those energies again. You know, we always have a second chance. There's that is the beauty and the grace of the divine, is to give us another chance to work with this stuff and to turn things around. So we're going to pick bodies, we're going to pick DNA that are going to be compatible with what we're trying to work through.
Oh, that's a great explanation. It's like a vibrational match.
Yes, it's got to be a vibrational match. So, you know, and it's interesting. One thing that I came to understand about SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome.
Yeah.
The spirit said that's when a baby comes in and realizes it made a mistake, that they thought they were picking the right parents and situation. But after they were in there for a few months, they realized it wasn't going to give them what they needed. And so they decided they had to go because it wasn't going to serve their needs as a soul. So that puts a really different spin on it. Not to say that would ever, you know, have somebody be able to work through their grief any sooner. No, it's certainly not about that. But if you're just looking at the needs of the soul in that lifetime, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, especially coming from or helping your mind get into a new understanding of what is, you know, life. It keeps going and going and going and going. So it's like we can release a lot of suffering in that one life or that one experience coming to an end maybe sooner than we had hoped or something like that.
You know, it just occurred to me, it's like when you go to college and it takes you a while to find a major. You might sign up for a major thinking, oh, I want to go to med school, so I'm going to be a biology major. And then after you've been in it for 6 months, you're like, I don't think so.
I like art better.
I like art. I want to be an actress.
Right. I just wanted to share a comment that Annette shared. She said, that may explain my fear of drowning. I hate driving over bridges, and I've had an absolute terrorizing fear of driving on lakes in the winter. Boats don't bother me, but just being in the car. So, so Annette's probably remembering something that happened to her.
Well, you know, and it just makes sense. That's the thing. It all makes total sense, not to your present rational mind, because you don't have easy access to all those memories, and for good reason. Can you imagine if you came into this life and you remembered every ugly thing that ever happened to you?
Oh God, that would be just so frightening.
Oh my gosh, it'd be like being in a horror movie 24/7 that you couldn't get out of.
Yeah.
We lose our memory for a good reason.
Right.
So it's always logical. Whatever the fear is, there is a totally great reason for why that fear is there. But we don't have to keep it. That's why this work was given to us in this time that we're in. The angels started bringing this particular work that I do through about, I guess, 25 years ago or so. And they said it's a gift of grace. It's because of how much work you've all done. You deserve this. We don't need to keep spinning and spinning and trying to root out stuff and figure it out. It's like, let's give you a break here. We're going to bring this through and help you clear it much more quickly.
Right. And that's also another way of looking at our collective has raised the consciousness high enough to be able to match the grace that can now flow through our lives in this way.
Exactly. Yeah. And given that we're all one, we don't just do it for ourselves.
Right. We can dedicate it to the all, the good of all. Right?
Yeah, for everybody that has the same pattern as you do, when you do your clearing, you're assisting them too, because we're all part of the same body. We're just another member of the same body.
Yes, exactly. We're each a cell of one body.
Yes. Yes. So which cell are you, Shannon?
I don't know. What cell could I'll go for the eyes.
I was going to say eyes.
You were?
Eyes. Yes, I was. I said, she's in the eyes.
Dude, I think I'm a reticular molecular cell.
That's hilarious.
Which one are you?
I don't know. Mine must be in my vocal cords.
Right? Oh, for sure. Yes.
That would make sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah. So, anything else that you can think of that I need to talk about?
I feel like for just a little bit, like as we're taking this time tonight, moving towards the full moon. So the full moon is very interesting. It's the wizard's moon or the druid's moon. And Jupiter is on the full moon, which is next to the galactic center. So I feel like there's this opportunity for even more grace to flow onto the planet, and for kind of the God mind to you'll start hearing that voice of grace, which is each of our own internal God self, which is part of the one overall eternal self. But I feel like there's this, whatever we can clear out of maybe the stories that we're separate from that God, goddess, source energy, and then so that we can be more expanded to receive grace. Because I think that's what's coming on the full moon, is just this opportunity for more grace on the planet.
Right, right. So I was thinking earlier about, thinking about Scorpio and the deep stuff that we have hidden in us. What are the major fears that people have? Because they're probably there's a certain number of categories or types of fears, and they play out in different stories, the fear of going hungry, right, the fear of being abandoned, the fear of being killed in some way, the fear of not being accepted, rejection, abandonment, persecution. Those are all big ones.
Yeah.
How am I going to survive in the world? Right. It's all about survival. So I just thought, because we have a lot of people here probably, and I'm going to do this one sounding, I think, just who knows, we'll see where we go, right?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'm not in charge here. I'm just following. But I thought if everybody could think about, what is a major fear that you have that you would really like to get rid of. And I thought maybe people could type in the chat if they could just briefly state something. And then it's like we're putting this all into this big container that we can focus on as I'm doing the sound.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna. They're coming in. I'm gonna share.
I knew when I saw the lights flashing.
So we have fear of snakes,
Mm.
fear of betrayal, fear of being seen.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, yeah, I think fear. I was just gonna say that fear of being successful,
Oh yeah.
right? Fear of
You
being.
know, they're going to beat you up if you're successful or if you're a failure. So they often go hand in hand.
Yes, right, right. We got some more here. Fear that I'll never have the family unit I've always dreamt of. Like fear of being alone, fear of money, fear of not having enough money, fear of being too busy, overwhelmed, having fear of poor health and of losing everything. Yeah.
So, you
Fear
know,
of drowning, fear of failure.
yes.
Fear of being loved, not being loved unconditionally, right? Fear of being loved unconditionally. Oh, so cute. I'm scared of all these things.
Me too. My
Right, we're right there with you. Don't worry, it's okay.
And the thing is, you know, we've all probably experienced every one of them.
Right? Yeah,
Right.
fear of domination and abuse, fear of rejection. Yeah, like fear of being owned or possessed.
Well, and that really goes into, I'm assuming that almost everybody on this webinar is female, right? And female
Yes.
this
Yes.
time.
Yeah, I believe everybody here tonight is female.
Okay, identifies as female.
Yes.
And you know, we're at the time, this incredible time of the reemergence of the divine feminine on the planet. And what I am finding in my practice is all these women coming who have a very similar issue where they're starting to open up to their gifts, you know, and they really want to get out there and express their gifts and make a difference, but they're terrified. They are terrified of being
immobilized,
abused, you know, dealing with the authority figures in their lives. And so what I'm finding is that I'm being used now to assist women primarily to transmute that old energy of fear of authority and fear of being persecuted, fear of being seen, fear of being heard, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being too big so that people are threatened by you. And, you know, transmuting that energy so that we can all truly step into our magnificence and our power so that we can then do what we came here to do. Whatever that is, it could be something, you know, just being a wonderful mother, or it could be being a public speaker. It could be anything. But whatever it is, we want to be in our greatness and do it and not be limited by this old stuff that has happened to us that we've identified with. Well, I must not be very good, or, you know, I don't have any power. I'm afraid to speak up. And, you know, I can't be seen because it's too dangerous. If they see me, they're going to kill me, all that kind of stuff. And that is cellular memory stuff, because there are a bunch of people that came into the planet with the intention of uplifting humanity, not being here to go to school, but to come in to uplift humanity, to help raise people up out of the muck and getting beaten down for it.
Yeah, over and over.
Over and over. And so what happens? They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to be too big. You know, they're afraid to be seen. They're afraid to express. So we women are coming back into our power, and this work can really assist that by literally transmuting that old stuff that says it's not okay because your survival is at stake. And that addresses all those fears we talked about. Who knows, even the snake, you know.
Right, because you
might have been running away through the jungle and a snake jumped up and bit your leg or something, you know, like
right, or you're like in the old west and you hear the and you're like, oh no.
I know. I always got scared by the rattlesnake sound, you know. So
yeah. I had a really I had a really awesome experience in this life it was a Western diamondback rattlesnake, but it was like the most mystical experience. That, of course, I went into deep fear when I heard the rattle, right?
Of course, yeah.
But I was in I was in New Mexico, and I was helping to caretake this hot springs that was for sale. So it was on this nice silty loam soil. So I was barefoot the whole summer, and I was in my glory because I don't like to wear shoes. So I was like, oh, I'm just being like natural country self. And thank God I didn't have shoes on because I was more aware of my surroundings. And so I would, and I was kind of, in a different vibration of an understanding of nature and being part of it. And all of a sudden, so I'm walking along and I hear this, and I was like, ah! Right? So it was like every Hail Mary I could remember, every act of contrition, like, please, I don't want to die today, right? I went right into old girl mode. And there was just this opening of grace, like everything slowed down. And then this beautiful snake crossed my path. And her body was so beautiful. She moved along, and I totally heard in my mind, oh, thank you for stopping. That's my way to get your attention. I just needed to cross the road. Thank you. I was like,
the rattle was like, hi.
Yeah, like, hello, don't step on me. I'm crossing the road. Stop where you are because I need to get to where I'm going.
Right.
And we live here together. So it wasn't like I was better because I was bigger. She was just like, oh, don't be afraid of me. It was the most beautiful experience I've ever had with something that I was terrified of.
Yeah, right. Well, because that's been ingrained in us,
Yes,
rattlesnake equals how I'm going to die because maybe you did before.
Yes. So anyway, I digress, but that's one of my favorite,
that's really interesting.
Isn't that? And she was so nice. She was like a mama snake.
You want to hang out with her.
I know. I was like, you're like my best friend now. Just stay way over there, but you're my best friend.
We can love each other from a distance.
Yes. I love you from like 50 feet away.
Right.
Okay.
So any more comments there?
Yes, we do have some more fears. Would you like me to read the fears?
Sure.
Okay, fear of rejection, fear of living my potential, fear of exposure and abandonment, fear of being responsible for others, fear of not fulfilling my potential, fear of not being accepted, fear of being overweight, releasing fear, stuffing my voice and being afraid to be in public, fear to be me. And so we have a question. So should we be looking at realizing past life cellular memories and making them right so that they don't bleed over into our present life? I may have more than one past life. Laugh out loud.
Absolutely. We have more than one, for sure.
Right. To release and work on.
Yeah.
But what's so beautiful is your body or whatever comes up first, or your imagination or what you're feeling, is that divine intelligence within you that says, this one's ready.
Exactly. And, you don't have to work at it. We're going to be bringing the angels and the galactic beings through to do the work. Your only job is to sit and be open, and if you can literally sit without anything crossed, you can have your feet flat on the floor. I always like to have my back straight. And your hands palm up. Can't see me doing this, but I like to have my hands resting in my lap, palms up. And then you're just being open and receptive, and you trust that whatever comes to you, because that's the intention we're setting, whatever is in your highest interest, because we have a lot of people here and a lot of issues that we all share. We all have a piece of it. So spirit knows what to do. The angels know where to take it. We don't have to worry about it. And
that's true.
Yeah, and I'm the chalice for these energies to come through and to express through. So you just get to receive it. And then just notice what you're feeling in your body. Some people, you know, feel heat, or they'll feel cold, or they'll feel numbness or tingling, or they might actually hear some other tones in their head. And, you know, if you haven't heard this sound before, this is an unusual sound. I was once called the human crystal bowl, because doesn't that make sense, Shannon?
Yes,
It's
really.
like, now I'm starting to feel like I have to clear. And if I start clearing my throat and get froggy, it's because it's part of the process of clearing the energies. It's the static, it's the stuff that wants to clear out. So if you hear like any rattling or gunky stuff, that's the stuff that's literally coming out of the cells. And a lot of it comes out in mucus, like when we get a bad cold. It's really stuff that just wants to clear out, like old belief systems and stuff. So anyway, that's a whole other story. But so the sounds, as I said, I was told they come from the ninth dimension, which is, you know, super high. We're here in the third, fourth, and heading into the fifth. So this is of the ninth, which is where the energies of the Godhead reside, and it's pure love and it's pure energy. And so because of all that, and because we're working with color and so many different frequencies, you may notice all these undertones and overtones, and, you know, some interesting things that you don't usually hear in people.
Yeah,
So
sometimes there's like a solar wind that comes.
yes, blowing stuff away. Yeah, and I never know. I mean, there's a certain sound that seems to be my signature sound because it comes through most of the time. But depending on the intention that we're working on, it can change. And we've had some really interesting times in the sound groups where, depending on who I'm working with in the group, oh my goodness, we could get anything from like the sounds of a didgeridoo coming through, to an eagle, to grandfather, you know, Indian chief kind of energy. And so those, they're kind of, that's all reflected in the sound that comes through me. So who knows? It's just fun to see what happens.
Yeah, like Heather calls it's like Christmas when you go to one of
Yes.
Joanne's soul healing group sound healing sessions. She's like, it feels like Christmas. And I'm like, you're so right, Heather.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to unwrap.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always a gift.
Child at Christmas. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So are we ready for me to do the invocation and just go into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Now's perfect time.
It's Christmas. Yes.
Christmas again. It's like Christmas every day with Joanne.
I love that. Oh, that's fabulous. Let me get some water here. And it's a good idea after we do this tonight, to drink plenty of water, because literally what happens is toxins are going to then be released from your cells. And so you want to help flush everything. So make sure that you drink plenty of water after this is over. Take a salt bath and, you know, have yourself with some essential oils, whatever you want to do, you know, to honor the process, because this really is a deeply healing, sacred process. Truly is. All right. So let's just get into a comfortable, open position. Then start by taking some nice deep breaths just to allow your body to relax. Allow everything to just start to settle down and let go. And it's like you're preparing your inner space and your body to move into this sacred temple, the temple of the divine, the temple of healing. And I'm just being given a picture. We probably all have been there, like one of the ancient Egyptian temples of healing. Isis, Temple of Isis, where so much of this beautiful work occurred. Just imagine, but you don't have to go there. You could go someplace in your mind that to you is your sacred spot, whether it's a beautiful temple or a place in nature, by a waterfall, at the ocean, wherever it is. Just want to create that beautiful, open, healing space. And as you settle into that, I'm going to do my invocation to call everybody in and set the energies. Mother, Father, God, God, Goddess, all that is, we thank you. And I invoke the power and presence now of the Christed ones, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, the archangels, Metatron, Michael, Raphael, Ariel, Uriel, Zadkiel, all the beautiful archangels who are here to serve us at this time. I also call upon the angels of light, sound, and color to bring forward the most perfect frequencies for the benefit of this group, so that their highest needs be met. I also call upon our galactic brethren, Pleiadians, Arcturians, Syrians, and all those of the highest light who are here to serve. I ask that the most perfect frequencies of sound, light, and color be brought through now to help clear these energies that are fear-based, all those energies that are ready to be let go. Whatever is in the way of this group moving further and deeper into their fullest expression as a part of divinity. I ask to be an open, clear channel, a chalice for these energies to come through for the highest good of all concerned here. And so it is. And just imagine now that above the top of your head is this beautiful golden white light that is just sparkling. It's big, it's radiant, it has sound, it's so bright, and this light above the top of your head is being fed into you from the highest levels of the heavens, of the divine. And imagine that light just pouring in through your crown chakra and flowing easily like this beautiful white gold river of light through your whole body, moving into your DNA, going into every cell, every strand of DNA in all of your systems, in your whole skeletal structure, your internal organs, your muscles. Every part of you is filling up now with this bright, iridescent, diamond sparkling white gold light. Imagine it as it's pouring in through your head, it's moving down through your body, filling all of you and going all the way down into your feet. And that light moves out of the soles of your feet, through your feet chakras, down and down into the center of the earth, rooting you into the beautiful energies of Mother Earth. And she then can feed you through her special light, up through those roots that you have sent down. So you are being fed simultaneously by Mother Earth and by Mother, Father, God. And you are now sitting at the perfect center of both of these lights, moving in and through you and coming to meet in sacred harmony in your heart. Just breathe deeply into that. And hold that image and that feeling as I ask that the sacred sound come through now to go deep into those old patterns, assisting in the transmutation of that old toxic material back into clear light. Ooh. Just imagine that all of this dross, that which you have gladly and easily released back to the light, is being lifted up into the divine for transmutation back to the energy of pure divine love. Just imagine that this is all being received and held and loved back into wholeness, into purity. Which also is your natural state. And as that is happening, you, each of you, are being held in the most nurturing, loving way, just as much as you are ready to receive, for we never force ourselves on you. We love you and will come to you as deeply and as clearly as you want us to do with you. Because this is your time. This is your moment. And we honor that. We love you without condition. We love you as tenderly as a mother loves her child, in the purest sense of that. We love you as our own. And we hear the fears about, I am not worthy, but we tell you, dear hearts, that you are entirely worthy, because there can be no other sense of that. There is no possibility of being unworthy. Would a mother feel that one of her children was more worthy of love than another? No. That child is worthy just because they were born of that mother in the image and likeness of the divine. And that is all it takes. Our love is without end. We bless you. And thank you for allowing us to be a part of this beautiful exchange. And please know that we have received as much as you have, just because we are here and getting to participate in this divine unfolding that we see before us. Take good care of your energy. Take good care of yourselves. And we bless you and hold you close for now and for all time. And so it is, dear ones, and so it is. So just gently begin to bring yourselves back, feeling your feet, your legs and your hands, your back, your head, being aware of the room, being aware of any sounds outside or inside. And you can just gently bring yourselves back into waking consciousness. And then we can chat about what happened for you. I'm back.
Wow. That was so beautiful. Gosh, and then the sound at the end, which was like almost silence, but not.
Like the
Wow.
breath of God.
It was like, yes, yes. I was like, what is that? Like, I know that. What is that? Wow.
How was that for you? What was your experience, Shannon?
I felt so like almost not taken to another place, but like a deeper place within myself. Or not even myself, but self.
Yes.
You know? So it felt very like yeah, just very like in that womb space where you're one with it all, and it's dark, but that's the beauty of it, rather than like, oh, I'm afraid of it, I don't know what's there, it was more, no, that's the energy, that's the space you want to be in, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I saw some people making some comments.
Yes, let us go into these. Okay, gorgeous, very beautiful. Ashatu is holding her Lemurian seed crystal. Golden purple auras all around, says Lila. Lori didn't want to come back.
Lori never wants to come back.
Lori never wants to come back.
I know, it's very hard.
Yes. Breath of God, like, yes, sweet. My soul was above my body, was literally above me, deeper, deeper. Yes, that was from Heather. Deb went outside to put her feet in the grass, but it started to rain a little, and it helped shower me with light.
Oh, beautiful.
Heather says, thank you, thank you. The food are so many fields of butterflies. Lonnie, love your invocation. Susan says, amazing, could most assuredly see and feel more in other realms. So beautiful.
Isn't it great? And that's where we come from, and we all really just want so much to get back there. That's like the biggest longing that we have.
Yes.
To go back home where, excuse me, there's my
Is that Sophie or Micah?
That's Micah. It must be 9 o'clock because
Yeah, right. He's like, Mama.
it's the witching hour here.
This is the fun part when you join one of Joanne's sound healing circle healing groups, is sometimes, and her classes, or anytime you get lucky to get to spend time with Joanne, you will see the kitty cats.
Yeah, Micah just has to make his presence known and say, hey, you've been on there long enough, Mom.
Hey, you Mom. Hey, did you forget about us? Like, we're here.
It's snack time. Anyway, that really brings you back to reality quickly, doesn't it? It was
Yeah,
okay.
The kitties are meow.
Right. Little reality check there. But yeah, that was just so beautiful. And I noticed some different kinds of tonal patterns tonight than I've noticed.
What did you
Like
experience?
Pretty cool fluttering, sound, like this intense vibration, like butterfly wings or humming. Oops. Sorry.
That was awesome.
Whoops. Micah jumped up and took the camera with him.
Oh, so cute.
He's a character. But yeah, so that was a good sample of what we do in the sound circles, except that I'm working with individuals, as I say, in a small group. And it can get much more personal than that, but this is the angels, they'll work with whatever they've got.
Yeah, they're good about that. They're like, don't sweat it. We got this covered.
One of my favorite things, this was probably 25, 30 years ago, I was getting ready to do a talk at some place, whatever it was, retreat thing. And I remember I tend to over prepare. Yeah. And I was like, I gotta write this down and have on my notes, blah, blah, like going into that crazy space of like, I don't have it all together. And I'll never forget hearing the angels say, make like an angel and wing it. I thought that was so cute. I've never forgotten it. Just make like an angel and wing it. Like, don't sweat it. We're the ones that are coming through anyway. So just get out of the way.
Right. Just
make way.
Yeah. Just, hey, chill out. Relax. We got this. Relax. Right? So for everyone, so this is a wonderful taste of what Joanne's groups are like, but they're smaller groups. And from my personal experience being in many of her groups is when it's your turn to, create your intention, and Joanne brings the healing sounds through, and then you get a channeled message, is everyone else gets a chance to listen. So you actually get multiple healings during that night. You get your personal one, but you get to be part of like the witness, observer, holding space for all the others in your group. And it's never not random who's in your group, because it's usually like a similar energy that who comes together.
Yeah, there's usually a theme.
There's a theme. Yeah, so you get like this wonderful multi-dimensional personal healing, as well as the gifts of everybody else's experiences. That's what I love about the groups. It's so nice.
Yeah, and since we have everybody has a piece of everybody else's stuff. So again, you're not just getting one clearing. You might be getting 4, 5, 6, even 7 clearings in one.
It's like unimaginable, and they're so beautiful. And then Joanne sends you a video, so we're going to have the replay video, and I would highly recommend listening to it through the full moon. Listen to it. You can fast forward to the channel toning and the healing vibrations, but you get your own video of your session that you can listen over with your own personal sounds coming through. That's what I love, because you can, anytime you need that energy again, you just listen and watch your video. But Joanne has, the one that's coming up next is sold out. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's on the 20th, but I scheduled one for, I think you might have seen the flyer, for July 2nd, which is the night of the new moon and solar eclipse in Cancer.
Yes. So what I'm saying. That is going to be like, this was powerful on a Scorpio gibbous waxing moon. That one's on a new moon, mama, Cancer, grace, total solar eclipse set in motion your next 6 months. Like, I'd be on that one for sure.
I actually think that I'm going to have more than enough people for that night. So I am also going to offer one should that occur. And I think it will, because I already have like 2 or 3 people that want to sign up for that one.
Yeah.
The next night. So that's a Tuesday, but I will do it again on Wednesday to accommodate up to 6 other people. So
right. And so yeah, and for anyone, just know, like, when we have big celestial events like a full moon, new moon, with solar eclipses and lunar eclipses and solstices, there's usually a 3-day window of when the energy is the biggest, fullest, brightest. So if you're in group number 2 it's just the same vibration power. So
exactly,
don't feel sad.
We just easily go back into that, tune into that vibration, and it's not an issue. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the angels don't work on like our space and time ideas. They're in that eternal oneness, present moment.
Exactly. They don't know what day it is.
They're like, what? What's a what? We're watching you. We don't need to watch.
Exactly. And then the other thing is I have the archetypal healing.
Yes, tell us about that.
Class that I do. So that is a 7-week experience of working with 7 major archetypes, like the refugee, the starseed, the caretaker, the artist, the priest, priestess, warrior, king, all these archetypes, major archetypes, and each one of them has certain patterns that they hold based on the conditioning and traumas and vows taken within that complex. It was a way of organizing a lot of material that came through in private sessions that the creator of this work actually discovered like 25 years ago. So I was in one of the trainings for that. And so it's been around for a while. But what I do is go through a discussion, an explanation of each of the archetypes, each of the patterns that will show up, and then do clearings on all of them and help you break vows. And it's really fun. It's very impactful, and you get a lot of clearing work, and you know, people have a lot of cool stuff. I mean, Shannon was in it, so you might be able to speak to it a little bit with your stuff.
Yeah, like major ahas. And so Asheti was saying, how do you know which archetype you are? Well, you go, as Joanne describes, you know, we go through a series of the archetypes throughout the whole class. And you start to identify like, wow, that's in my life. Look, that's always happening to me. That's like a thing that I've known about for a long time. And then she dowses with her pendulum to see, where is that your archetype right now? Is that the one you're working on? Where are you at? 0 degrees, 100%, you know, where are you at? So
yeah, so we have a piece of all of it, but some you're going to resonate with more than others. Now, to get your own particular chief problematic pattern, that comes through in a private session. So I don't get to do that part in the class. So if you really want to get into your own pattern, then that's a private session.
yes.
But in the archetypal healing class, you're going to learn about them all, and you'll see yourself show up in the different ones. And so you just work with that. You're going to identify with some more than others. Some will have a much bigger impact than others.
Yeah. And so Lori and I and Beth, we were in the first archetype class, and like Lori just said, she's like, I love it. And we are on our 4th one. We're on our 4th round. We're like, Joanne, you cannot stop this, because
I know.
It is just way too awesome. Like, talk about multiple ahas like in one gathering together.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, Lori, Beth, and I are on our 4th round.
I think, Shannon, you could give just a little taste of what your pattern was, because it's so fascinating with the Irish, you know, refugee stuff. Because refugee is a big one, and the, you know, the cold that you were always feeling, and, you know,
Yes.
it's interesting story.
Yeah. So the archetype that is, you know, I'm working, the major chief problematic one is the refugee archetype. So I have in my family tree, I have Irish on both sides, and they have been in that refugee status for a while, like maybe, who knows, 7 generations, who knows. But it shows up and like for me, you know, the storyline for the Irish refugees was they left Ireland on these ships known as coffin ships,
Yeah.
came over the stormy Atlantic oceans to arrive in America to start a new life as a refugee. And, you know, a lot of, in that time in New York and things, nobody wanted the Irish people around. And
they were completely
plague, you know.
Considered as like the worst dirt in the world.
Yeah. So that kind of energy was vibrating on both sides of my roots. And I could start to see how I was playing it over and over. And then we went into an actual lifetime for me that on a soul level where I found this family tree to match the vibration was I was a little girl who was forced to get on the ship to leave, which at the time, the memory was, you're lucky you're leaving the starvation from the potato famine. You're getting a chance to have a new life. But as this little girl leaving home and just knowing like this is not safe, this ship, there's a storm, this is going to be I knew intuitively that the ship was not going to make it. But I was like, what, 5 years old? I could have a say. But I was, you know, so I got on the ship. It's the stormy, really awful, dark night, cold, and boom, lost at sea. And so in this present time life, I've always had to deal with being cold. Like I'm the friend during summer who's like, can you put your hands on me, Shannon, to cool me off? Because they're always cold, right? They're like, oh, thanks, right? And I'm the one with the scarf and the hat and the sweater, and it's like 80 outside, right? So I could never figure out, well, what's wrong with my body temperature? Why am I always cold? And this life, I'm an excellent swimmer. And that started at, you know, the get-go, because my mom taught swimming, and I picked this beautiful mom who was going to make me into a swimmer, because
so you could survive it the next time. That's what your body is probably saying. I'm going to learn how to swim because I drowned the last time.
Yeah, I drowned, and my body is still floating around down there in the bottom of the Atlantic.
So we rescued you.
Yeah. So during my session was the angels came to those, you know, Joanne felt and sensed and was there in that stormy night, and they were able to come and take me out because no one could hear me screaming and crying and calling for help. And then the angels came to rescue me, to bring me to a warm place and to dry out and to feel, you know, into this place of joy and happiness and beauty and love and light. And I swear my body temperature is a lot better.
It is, Shannon, because every time I saw you after that, as you were healing that, you had fewer and fewer clothes
on layers.
I actually saw your bare arms one day.
I know, right?
Look at that. Oh my God.
Arms.
So that's the power of this. We just had to remove that stuff, you know, that she was still holding on to.
Yeah.
Bring her back into the present without all that stuff holding her down so much, and, you know, limiting your ability to really move forward because a part of you was hanging out in the North Atlantic.
Yes, lost at sea, afraid to come out of the water, really, you know.
Yes.
And it's interesting too, like even as a little girl, you know, I was always at the pool because that's, you know, mom was a swim teacher, so that's where I spent my summers, was at the pool. But I had green hair from the chlorine, like literally green ponytails, and it was almost like there was seaweed.
Yeah.
Like my hair was so green from the algae of the water, you know, of the ocean.
That's quite a wonderful story. Hey, I saw
That can
Lila
happen to
pop
you.
in with a question. What?
So I'm just saying, like the ladies watching, like that could happen to you. That could be
Exactly. It could. I was just saying that Lila asked a question, and I'm not sure
okay.
what.
What obstacles do you see that would limit our full experience, Joanne?
Can you say more about that, Lila? I'm not sure what you're asking.
What obstacles do you see that would limit our full experience?
Of
Maybe.
full experience of life in general? I mean, that could be anything.
She might be typing. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
I'll share Janice's comment. She said, I still use the information channeled for me in a sound group. Blip in time, holy ones in my ancestral DNA that has given me so much solace on tough days. Right? So Janice is sharing that she was in a sound group and she uses it to this day, the experience of how powerful that was. Okay, Lila's back. She says, what do you recommend we do to better enhance our experiences with you in our classes? Like, outside of the group or outside the class, like, what do you recommend to enhance or keep your experience going?
One thing that really has to happen, and I mentioned this with what seems like 8 hours ago.
I know, we probably
way back at the beginning, is that we really need to keep our awareness high about, as I said, this isn't a magic bullet. I mean, it does a lot, but at the same time, you have to keep reprogramming yourself as that energy is working with you. You have to keep it in your mind. Like, notice, the mind will keep telling you lies. The mind will keep trying to convince you that you are, that everything is the same. It's a broken record. So he's so distracting. He's getting very, anyway. Like the mind tries to stay in the past because that's what it knows. It gets stuck in the past. So when an old thought or an old belief system comes up, you have to say, okay, mind, that was then, this is now. I am choosing something new. So this is a good thing to bring up, is that we always have to choose again. Keep choosing to be in the new world. Keep choosing to release, because we can just go unconscious and get sleepy and keep doing things in the same old way so that you're not getting the fullest benefit from the work. So it's about keeping your awareness, continuing to choose how to be different, continuing to choose what you want in your life. Like, I choose not to continue to call into my life that kind of a relationship. Like, this would be based on, say, somebody's reading, where many times I've gotten women that come in and they were subservient to a man or to even a woman who was an authority figure. So let's say problems with authority, and so they come into this life and they still have problems with authority. They get bosses that beat up on them or treat them badly, whatever. And so when you've got that kind of a pattern, you have to acknowledge that, that's something that you came in with, but you are requesting the angels to continue to help you to clear it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be more conscious when I get that inner icky feeling when I'm in an interview and I think, uh-oh, that feels like the boss I had 5 years ago. I'm going to maybe choose not to take that job. Because maybe I feel like I have to have it because I'm going to starve to death if I don't. It's like being more conscious about your choices and the routes that you want to take. So it's developing consciousness from a present space of clarity rather than being run by the old tapes. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
I would say, yeah, I think like, because Lila is a very creative muse artist, beautiful, flowing mermaid Pisces queen. So like just catching yourself to ground, be present. What's happening now? Coming back so you can kind of get out. She says the hardest thing to be pulled out is by thought distractions. I do
Yes.
this in my office, so her workspace. So I'm not sure if it's the space or my mindset.
Well, it could be both. I mean, I don't know. That's a bigger discussion that we could have one-on-one. But
Yeah.
you know, you just brought up an interesting point. When you're artistic like that,
Yeah.
how else can you work with the energy? You could dance it out. You could paint it out. You can, you know, create something out of it that's symbolic for you of like the new path you're choosing to take. So I think there could be a lot of answers to this. But the first thing is in your awareness and, you know, building a new consciousness within yourself. So it's like you're rebuilding yourself. You're reorganizing yourself to be a more effective, powerful instrument of the divine on the planet. And when you're in your other world, you feel weak and powerless and, you know, kind of limp and useless. So we want to continue to foster the behaviors and the thoughts in you that give you a new message of empowerment and you're being a part of divinity. That's what we're going for.
Yes, because I even sharing like that, getting real cognizant or clear on that kind of chief operating archetype. Like I can start weaving in so many experiences into that archetype. And I know when I work that archetype, all those experiences of like, you know, if there's a money issue or self-worth issue or a receiving issue and all those things, that's exactly what a refugee type consciousness would create for themselves.
Yes.
To be destitute, alone, relying on other people, the kindness of strangers, or being kicked out of places, you know? So yeah, the archetype series class is just like, wow, amazing.
It will give you a whole new understanding of why you do the things you do and what's running you.
Yeah, those automatic
yourself. You're being run by these old programs. You know, it's like software in a computer. We're like a computer being run with certain software. And so in this work, we are upgrading everything. We're throwing out the old software that's no longer useful. You know, we're upgrading instead of, you know, 2.0, we're upgrading to 8.0, and then later we'll be 10.0, you know. So yeah, we're upgrading all the software so that we have more choice. We have, you know, better possibility of having more positive experiences and more peace within. Not that we're not going to have problems. We're human. So of course we're going to have issues. But when we continue to do this kind of work, we have more choice in how we respond. So we're not on automatic pilot so much.
Yeah, right. Because even if I just took that experience of the Irish potato famine crisis, refugee crisis, you know, my software hasn't been updated since 1864.
It's time.
I'm like, it's all
time
now.
Exactly.
Jennifer asks, how do we sign up? How did we get in touch with Joanne? Sign us up.
I'm on Facebook. So, you know, my Facebook page is Magdalene Soul Healing Friends. And
We'll put the link in the video replay. We'll put the link.
Yes, and my email is on the flyer that is on both my site and Shannon's. It's just Joanne Bracken 33@gmail. And I know there are other ways or many ways you can spell Joanne. So it's just N-N-E, one word with an E, Bracken, Bracken 33@gmail. So they work. And if you'd like, I always offer people just a complimentary, like 15-minute talk to see if you think this work would be for you. Now, you know, I have sound healing groups coming up. So it would be helpful for me to know who's interested because I can always add dates. I'm not locked in. In fact, last fall it got so busy. I was doing 5 and 6 groups a month.
Yeah.
Which
and
was
working full time.
And working full time, but now I'm not working full time anymore. This is my full time.
Yeah, you're full time. Yes, doing your sound alchemy.
Exactly.
So Lila just shared your Facebook group's link.
Oh, thank you, Lila.
And
Appreciate
Deb
that.
wants to know, do you help men too? And when will you have your next archetypes class?
I've been thinking that I will start a new archetypes class later in September, because I think I've got enough going on now. And here's the other news. I'm going to the West Coast.
West Coast tour. She's on tour.
So from September 8th to the 21st, I'll be on the West Coast. And actually on September 14th, which is a Saturday,
right before your
I'm
birthday.
going to be doing it.
Right after your birthday.
Right after my birthday, September 10th. So I'll be doing a 4-hour intensive, which will be 4 hours of clearings and activations and meditation and a little movement and, stuff to really give you a blast. So for anybody in the Bay Area, I'll be over there then.
Yeah, so you can fly into San Francisco if you want to attend this workshop. It's going to be in Berkeley on Saturday, September 14th. So Joanne's getting all the info together, and we'll be sharing more about the workshop in the fall. But that's going to be completely off the chain. Awesome.
That'll blow your mind.
It's going to blow your mind. Yeah, so definitely first thing you want to do is go join Joanne's public Facebook group, Magdalene Soul Healing Friends. That's easy right away. Just go over there, say add me, and Joanne will add you to the group. That way you can get first dibs on her classes and her groups, and then sending it for a one-to-one private session. And then she's doing sonic blessings every day. Tell us a little bit about that. That's
well,
or here and there.
I was like, wow, I left my job, but holy moly. But this is what I want. So I'm so grateful, and you're helping me, Shannon, get the word out. It's invaluable.
Happy to. I love your work. Absolutely. And I love you.
Thank you. But what was the question? The daily blessing. So I thought that I would start just daily tuning into everybody in my Facebook group and sending a sonic blessing. So I would just hold you all, in my heart and just create my intention and do the blessing. And I just started this week, so it's very new. And then I thought, well, it'd be cool if people could actually hear it. So what was it, yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. You did a live in your group.
Yes, yesterday I actually went live, and the recording is on my page, so you can see that. I hate to promise I'm going to do that every day, because I might not. No. I don't want to lie, because
you'll let us know when they're. Yeah,
I will. I'm gonna let you all know. I'll give you a heads up. So if you want to do that live with me on Facebook, I'll give you a day and a time. I would say I will probably do it twice a week, and that's just a freebie. That's just to bring people together and let you experience the blessing. There's no individual work, that's not what that's for. If you want the individual stuff, that's the group, the paid group. And that's only $33. That group is, very inexpensive for what you're receiving.
Yes.
Which is good, because I just want people to get on board. So, that's it.
Receive of this. This is the medicine of the future. That's what Edgar Casey said. Sound is the medicine of the future.
Right. And I think we're in the future right now.
I do, especially when he was a sleeping prophet in like the early 1920s or something.
Yeah, for him it was the future. We're in that place.
Yeah, we're his future.
We're Edgar's future.
Yeah, we're the ones he was looking at.
That's right. So that's what we're doing. Music is medicine. It's good medicine.
Yes, and
no side effects. No side effects.
the only warning is you'll get highly addicted to the love and joy that you feel, right?
Yes,
and the better
exactly.
you feel.
That's the new addiction, is to be in joy and to just, what you felt tonight. So did we have any people talking about physical feelings that they had during the
I think we did. I will save the chat.
Yeah, because I want to read through it and see, but
Yeah, so when you join Joanne's public Facebook group, she does post a lot of wonderful articles and cool things about sound healing, energy work, and beautiful things. So it's really fun to be in her group. So definitely join the group so that you can see all the wonderful things that she posts and get more in tune with like having an experience.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Well, and I think that's all that I really have to share, Shannon.
I think that was beautiful. Thank you so much for blessing us with your.
So much fun. So much fun.
Totally. And I hope that you'll come back and join us again. And we'll look at the calendar. We'll look at the calendar. We'll do something cool, maybe on the day out of time in July or something.
Yes, that would be very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
So before we go, Lonnie shared that I had physical feelings when I got up. It felt like when you get up off a boat and you have wobbly legs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's cool, how it doesn't matter where you are in the world, but we're going to lose me in a second.
Totally. So I'm going to wrap us up. I want to thank you again for coming on in our community circle, sharing with us your amazing gifts, telling us more about the power of opening this up in our lives and what can happen as a result. And so thank you so much, Joanne.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you all for showing up and allowing
thank you, ladies.
this with you. It's totally my joy.
Mine too. So I'll send out their replay link, and you could share it around if you have friends and family members that could benefit from hearing the sounds and meeting Joanne and joining her group. We would love to spread the words.
Yes, and please message me if you want to be part of one of the sound groups coming up, because I
get on that.
Add dates, so don't feel like you've lost space. I think I have for the July 2nd group. I may have 2 or 3 more spots. I'm not sure, and like I said, I can have one the next day too. Yeah,
you're so generous to open up another overflow class, overflow group.
This is my jam.
Right, it's totally your jam. You're so good at it too.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay, well, happy, glorious Cloaked One's moon, Scorpio, moving into the full moon coming up on Monday, which will be the Wizard's moon. So.
Yay. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, ladies. Thanks for being with us together tonight. Everyone have a sweet dreams.
Yeah, sweet dreams.
Okay.
Micah says good night.
Good night, Micah. Thanks for letting me keep Mama overtime. Bye. Good night.